All right, so I want to kind of quickly share this starter tutorial on setting up Git. This would be common whether this is for Tableau or another project. And just so everyone knows, I am not a Git expert. I just use it. And so I don't know, this might not be all of the best practices, but it's how I've seen it work well. So with that, I've got on the left, I've got my GitHub page, and on the right, I've got GitHub Desktop. I prefer GitHub Desktop to writing in the command line, and so that's how I manage my repositories. And so I'm just going to click New. I'm going to start Git Tableau. Git Tableau. And I'm going to add a README, create repository. We're going to see that README was just populated with the name of the repository, and we're going to do a little bit with that later. Now so this is remote. On my local, I want to, it's called cloning. I want to clone this repository into my local. So if I do the drop down here, once you have GitHub Desktop installed and you're logged in, it's nice and easy. You can just click this. The prompt to clone will pop up and already be referencing your new repository. And so I'm going to change this to just select my projects folder. That will create a new folder within projects that is named the same as your repository name. So when I select folder and click clone, now I see I've got Git Tableau on my local and on my remote. So first thing I'm going to do, I'm going to keep main unchanged. In production, you would want main to be the mirror of your production environment. So I'm just going to create a new branch and call it starter. So what I did was create this locally, so it's not on the remote yet. If I publish the branch, then I have to refresh. So I'll do a refresh on my remote side. Now I can see starter is here. And now we can see how this works. So I have the README file, and I've got my starter branch. Let's switch to starter on the remote side. This is saying that branch is up to date with main, meaning that main and starter currently are the same. So when I have this branch selected, that means any changes I make to that folder that I created when we cloned is going to get the changes, or going to make the changes to the starter branch. So just select Git Tableau. We can see all that's in there is the README file. And so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just grab a TWB file. That's important to note as well, is that you want to use TWB files in this process. As the TWBX files, it's harder for Git to follow any changes in that type of binary file. So you always want to work with the TWB files if you're trying to use this for your version control. So now that I have this, we can see that I have the current branch of starter here. And if I go back here to GitHub Desktop, now this displays the changes that have been made to my local repository. You can also see the history. That was the initial commit. The changes show that I created a whole new file, and that file is made up of XML, which is represented here. Green is an addition, and if there's a change on a a row. Like if I change some of the code in here, then it would be red, representing deletion of a row. So the other thing that we see is on my remote, I'm on starter, but the only thing I have in here is the README file. So to get the changes that you're making on your local to your remote, this is how you want to do it. So you create a comment. So adding Rocket workbook, and I commit. This is going to committing just kind of sets the changes, makes them ready to be pushed is the next step, allows them to be ready to be pushed to origin or remote. And so now that they're committed, I can push. And that's going to push to starter. So we see immediately on GitHub on the remote that starter has been changed. We don't see that file here yet, but when I refresh, now we see that Rocket file. And now we're going to show how changes on remote get pulled back to our local. So I'm going to open this TWB. I can actually modify it here. I'm probably going to do something that will break it, but this is just to show. Switch to the editor. And then when I've edited a file, I get the option to commit those changes just like we did on our local. I'm going to commit the remote changes. And this is just to illustrate how changes go back and forth between remote and local. So I'm going to commit to the starter branch, commit changes. So now also you can see, yeah. Okay, so now I have changes on starter, and we'll see if this refreshes. GitHub Desktop is going to pull information from Git or GitHub.com from the remote. So if we sit long enough, this will show you that there were changes made on the remote, and will like prompt you to make the refresh. But I'm just going to update that, and it will show now that it says pull one commit from the origin remote. The one commit is the commit I made here on github.com. And when I pull origin, then my file has been changed. And okay, so now that I've done a pull from origin, my local and origin they mirror each other currently. So if I refresh this, I can still see that there were pushes, which happened when I used the github.com or the remote version of this. So now we'll just hit what a pull request is. A pull request, let's say you've made all the feature changes to your workbook and you're ready to have that workbook go to production Tableau server. And so you would do a pull request. You can start that here on GitHub Desktop or in the browser on your remote. So I'm going to merge starter and make sure you check where you're merging to. You'll be able to set up approvals so you won't accidentally commit in like a production environment. But basically this is saying push or merge the starter changes into main. So let me show you also. If we switch back to main, we can see none of those changes are on the main branch. So nothing happens on the main until we merge. Equally here, if I change this to main, I can even go into that folder and that folder has actually been updated to equal or mirror the remote main branch. Then when I select starter, we see we get that change back into our local because of the changes that were made on starter branch. So that's just a little bit of how this works, but we're going to do that pull request now. And we see starter, there haven't been any changes. We're going to merge starter into main, and you can put whatever notes here. We don't have any reviewers, obviously, but that can be set up. So you want to, like, before you merge, you'll have testers and QA that sign off on it. So create that pull request. It created the pull request. It's just a request. This is what will actually merge that and confirm. So now I've successfully merged and closed that branch. When we're working on feature branches, which I would call that starter branch, feature branch, we can delete that from our remote. And let me make sure. So now, since I deleted it from remote, it's saying to publish it again, but I would delete it here as well. Probably better if you delete it from desktop, because then you can have it delete from remote as well at the same time. So that is pretty much it, but let's look at, now we have just the main branch and done our merge. Now when I refresh here, my main branch has the rocket launch history changes. So same here, before this folder didn't have the rocket when we were on main, but now it does. So that's kind of how you keep your local and remote synced with Git. And the cool thing is that we could have been, if multiple developers were working from the same or some of the same workbooks, those changes can get merged and you'll be notified when there are conflicts. So just to make it easy to share work. So what's great now is that we have our main branch, which we're calling prod on Tableau server. And so I would immediately publish this to Tableau server. And one of the things I'll cover next is automating when a merge happens to main. I can automate that workbook to be published onto Tableau server. So I'll be setting that up and sharing that in a future video. Thanks for watching.